y'all take a look at this whole situation, you're gonna see I got the water bladder up here, and then I got this the water tank over here, and this water bladder. The big problem that I'm having with this water bladder right now is that this water bladder, it anytime that the I got water in it, and then as I fill it up with water, and then as the water goes out of it, it kind of loses pressure, and then the thing kind of rolls around because it's water, right? It's going to roll around. And so the big problem right now that I'm having with this thing is that I'm not really getting a whole lot of water pressure out of it. And as the water pressure goes up and down, the thing kind of rolls around. And so I'm kind of thinking what I may need to do is that tomorrow, I've been taking a look and at the Home Depot across the street, down the street there's a Home Depot, and at that Home Depot they got these big old water tanks. They got these 1,000 gallon water tanks, and I may just have to go and buy myself a 1,000 gallon water tank. And I was like, that'd be kind of a good idea, because then the big idea of the water tank is that if I have a water tank, that water tank, the water pressure is always going to be sitting right on top of it, because it's a big old water tank, right? I mean, it's not going to roll around. It's not going to right, it's not going to the water pressure is not going to be bad. It's always going to have the water pressure, and the thing is going to it's not going to roll around or anything. And so this whole thing, I may have to do that. The water bladder, it's real good for in terms of it's real good for transporting water, but it's not very good for using as a pond or as a tank refill mechanism, because the water bladder, if you think about it, it's kind of a fabric, and so the thing kind of rolls around, and then it kind of rolls around. The water pressure is not always right, etc., right? And so I was like, I might use these. The big plan right now is to use these water bladders to transport water, and then I'm gonna have the stock tank, or I'm gonna have the big plastic tank as the water tank. So that's what I'm thinking right now. Tomorrow morning I'm gonna have to go and get myself a big old plastic tank, big old water tank to use as the watering system for these animals. And I was like, that's good. That's fine by me. That'll be okay. And I know I got these T-Rex arms right now because I got this kombucha, and I'm gonna put it on the ground right here, and then I'm not gonna forget it. I'm gonna come back for it. Okay, but the whole thing about today, the thing that I wanted to talk about was the idea of making money, right? Making money, and I don't really want to sound, okay, when I talk about these things, I'm not saying these things with the intentions of being a prick, right? I've already talked about this. My thing is that I'm not looking to be malicious. I'm just looking to give information. And you have to understand that from my perspective, it's just okay, I'm just gonna give you my perspective. I'm just gonna put my perspective out there, because if I put my perspective out there, it's gonna be interesting. I think that it's just gonna be, well, at the end of the day, it's just honesty, right? I've talked about this. If it's truth, then at the end of the day, it's truth, and then we can just call it at that, right? I mean, I'm not being malicious. I'm not right. I'm just stating a fact. So the situation that I'm in, if you take a look at my situation and you take a look at how much money I generate, it affects, when you actually take a look at it, it puts me somewhere. You're gonna, okay, I'm gonna talk about this like this. Starting by about March, I am logically anticipating that by about March, I will be generating myself a massive amount of money. Even right now, if I was not working on these various projects, I would have a massive amount of money. All right, I've talked about this. The thing about me, it's like, why do I use my money to, go do these various projects? The whole idea of me and money, right? I don't sell my soul to the devil to make money, etc., etc. If you take a look at how much money I make, I'm in the top 0.0000001%. Somewhere in the top 0.00001 to top 0.00001%. There's a very real possibility that I actually make more money. If you're watching my channel, there is a very real possibility that I make more money than you and everybody that you know combined. It's that bad. And so here is and I've spoken about this, and the whole reality of my situation is that if you really want to know what it's like to have to go and make this much money by yourself, then go and do it. All right, don't drag me into your BS. I don't care. All right, at the end of the day, you don't even need to make this much money to do what I do, okay? Starting by about March, even if I was not working on these various projects, and I know that this whole thing I got going on with this land, but it don't matter to me. I'm just going to be honest, and I'm not saying this to be a prick, but it doesn't matter to me. At the end of the day, my money is as good as it is. My money is just as good anywhere else. All right, that's my whole situation, is that my money is just as good anywhere else. It doesn't matter to me. I can take my money and go 30 minutes down the street and my money is still as good. I can go 1 hour across town. My money is just as good. At the end of the day, I'm the one who knows how to make the money. All right, so here is the situation that I'm in. When you take a look at everything and I got going on, if I was not working on my various projects, if I was not utilizing my capital to go forward with these various projects, I would effectively just have such a massive amount of money and I've already talked about this, the thing is like, if I sat on whatever, right? I mean, even right now, the reason, I'm going and doing these various things, like if you actually took a look at what I was doing, if I took the money that I had made in the cattle business, and then et cetera, right? I've already talked about all these things. I'm looking to, I run my own business, and I've talked about the idea of making money via the equity of a business. I've already talked about these various strategies for making money, and in the situation that I'm in as a business owner, one of the realistic ways for me to generate money is to raise my revenue, right? I talk about raise my earnings. And I talked about my strategy for increasing my earnings, right? I've been talking about my strategy to increase my earnings. I'm anticipating that I increase my earnings by 325%. What is my strategy to do that? I'm going to increase the size of my herd. I'm going to go from running about 30, 40 animals at a time to running about 100 animals at a time. And then I'm also going to increase the target market weight from 650 to 850. And when I do that, I'm going to drive up my revenue, right? I'm going to drive up my earnings. And so that's the situation that I'm in, right? And so, that's my realistic strategy. That is my strategy for how am I going to increase my earnings. When I increase my earnings as a business owner, the big idea of a business is that when you look at a business, I've already talked about the appraisal of a business, right? If you really want to know, if you want to get a rough estimate for how much is your business worth, if you really want to have an idea for what is your business worth, then ask yourself, what would you sell 10% of your business for? And have an honest to God conversation just have an honest conversation with God. What would you sell 10% of your business for, and be completely honest? If you would sell 10% of your business for 200 grand, then your business is worth 2 million. If you would sell 10% of your business for 250 grand, then your business is worth 2.5 million. And in the situation that I'm in, do I look like I would sell 10% of my business for 200 grand? Absolutely not. That would be ridiculous. What am I going to do with 200 grand? 200 grand is a worthless amount of money. All right, so think about it. But that would be the honest way to really think about what situation you're in, how much is your business worth, etc., etc. And so the thing that I wanted to talk about today, and this whole thing, is that because starting by about March, I'm gonna have just a massive excess of money, okay? Even right now, if I was not working on these various projects, if I was not taking my money and just working on these various projects, I would have a massive excess of money. More or less, I would have enough money to just live comfortably for the rest of my life. I could just run my cattle and just call it a day. And so in my situation, okay, here's the thing. And I don't want to sound like a prick, and etc., etc. I wanted to talk about another realistic strategy for making money. And another realistic strategy for making money is doing business with rich people. I talk about this all the time. I talked about me getting into the cattle business, right? When I showed up in the cattle business, I didn't show up in the cattle business like, oh my God, I'm God's gift to the earth. And whatever I want to do, I'm just going to do it. And then I expect to get paid a massive amount of money. I expect to be cradled like a baby Jesus, right? I didn't walk into the cattle business and go, oh my God, I'm God's gift to the earth. I was born to be a farmer. My life is a magical journey, and I'm going to do whatever the heck I want in the cattle business, and then I expect to get paid. I didn't do that, right? I took a look at the situation. I took a look at the market. I took a look at the various equities in the market, right? I mean, there's the dairy cattle, there is the beef cattle, there are the dairy beef cross, there are the off breeds, etc., etc. There are thin animals, there are average weight animals, and then there are the fatter animals, etc., etc. What does the market pay for the most for, right? I call that the commercial standard. I talked about all the I did not just show up in the cattle business and go, I'm gonna do whatever the heck I want. I'm God's gift to the earth. My life is a magical journey, and I expect to be cradled like baby Jesus. I did not do that. I took a look at my situation. Where am I going to make the most money? Etc., etc., right? And so I did the same thing. And, go where the money is. That's another realistic way to put it. Take a look at it and then find where the money is. Find the money, and then it's important that you go and find the money, because I've already talked about this. Chances are you are, even me, I am not smart enough to have a massive level of new ideas that's just going to generate a large amount of money. It's just not. It's the IQ range that you would have to be in to strictly get paid off of your intelligence would put you in like the top 0.0000. Like, you would have to be in the very, 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 very top percentiles of IQ. All right, and if you're not like creating black hole machines in your garage, then you're not born a mega genius. I mean, I don't know how else to put that. And I've always said that when I say this, another way to put it so that that I'm not being malicious is that you should also understand that if you have 100 IQ, you actually have enough IQ to effectively learn how to do anything. And I talked about the Laszlo Polgar, right? I talked about the Grandmaster Chess Experiment. If you have 100 IQ, you actually have enough intelligence points to learn how to do anything. So you should not, I would highly suggest that you don't go into the world and think that you're going to go on some, oh my God, I have these massively great ideas. And I've already talked about this in terms of money. If you actually take a look at it, almost everybody would sell their soul for $500,000. Almost everybody would sell their soul for even $200,000. I've legitimately seen people sell their soul for $10. So if you can make more money, you will probably be happier. Granted that you don't sell your soul to the devil to do it. And I'm just going to be honest, and I've talked about this situation in the past a lot. If you take a look at a person like me, 20 grand is going to be different to me than somebody who makes 50. If you find somebody who makes $50,000 a year, if you find somebody who makes $100,000 a year, and you try and get them to write you a check for 20 grand, and you try and get them to write you a check for 50 grand, even if you give them a good deal, they will probably not do it, because they just won't. But if you gave me a good deal, I will even pay people 200 grand. I will even pay people 150 grand. It doesn't matter, right? And so, the thing about it is that when you start, and I've talked about this, when you start going into the upper percentiles of wealth, when you start going into a percentage of wealth where when you look at somebody, you actually perceive this individual as somebody who actually has a large amount of money. Like, you don't know what it is, but they are well-to-do. What you've probably found is somebody that is beyond the 1%. 99% of people effectively make less than $250,000 a year. Effectively, about 99% of people. And so once you start getting past that 1%, you start talking about people who are making $1 million a year. You start talking about people who make $5 million a year. You start talking about people who make $10 million a year. I'm in the $5 to $10 million a year range. I make about 5 to 10 million a year. That's how much I generate. When I take a look at my financials, I would say, but that is, when I take a look at it for what it is, that is the range of the money that I generate. If somebody gives me a good reason to do it, I will write a check for 100. I will give them the 150 grand. And this is what I mean. And this is something that I want to talk about. When you do business, if you're going to go out and you're going to look to do business, it's very important that you think about your deal. You do not want to be in a situation where you are looking to make money by selling your soul to the devil. You don't want to do that. Oh, if I come up with some worthless scheme, then I can make myself 20 grand. If I come up with some worthless scheme, then I can make myself 30 grand. You don't want to do that. I call that hiding in the tall grass. You can't hide in the tall grass. At the end of the day, God sees everything. So does the devil, right? I've talked about this. You don't want to make yourself. You don't want to sell your soul to the devil. All right, and also if human beings, I mean, with some level of sense, can see through everything too. Like if I see somebody who is legitimately going to try and sell their soul for $10, if they're going to sell their soul for 10 grand, if they're going to sell their soul for 20 grand, if they're going to sell their soul for 50 grand, why would I want to do business with them? And when I do business with people, there are opportunities every single year to make hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? And so it's like don't sell your soul for some worthless amount of money. Just do good business, stay in good graces with God, think about what you're doing, think about your deal, and then live your life in peace. Because you have to understand that people like me, I have a lot of things that need to get done. I'm not looking for this is not my end all be all. I have a plan for myself for the future. What am I looking to do? What am I looking to do this year? What am I looking to do next year? Etc. Etc. How much money do I think I'm gonna make? I'm even thinking about how much how much money can I compensate for the people helping me? How much where will this money come from to give to the people that are helping me? Legitimately helping me? Where will this money come from, right? And how much am I going to give them? Why am I going to pay them that amount of money, right? I've talked about these various things, and so there's a lot of opportunities to make money. Don't be selling your soul to the devil to make money. Number one, if you sell your soul to the devil to make money, you will lose your peace, and then the little bit of money, whatever, it doesn't ever work out. So think about your plan, or think about your deal. I've always said, when you find a rich person, or when you find somebody and you're like, I legitimately think that this person has a large amount of money. I don't know what it is, but they come off as somebody who has money. You have probably instinctively picked up on the idea that this person is beyond the 1%. And when you talk about people who are beyond the 1%, we are talking about a massive gap. Effectively along the entire, when you go from the top point, and I've already spoken about this, like me, even though I make the amount of money that I do, I am in the top 0.00001%, and I anticipate that I'm going to be in the top 0.00001% within the next 365 days. Even though I make this amount of money, if I made this same amount of money every single year for the next 62 years, I would barely have half of $1 billion. That's how I use the scale, right? When you start going up onto the top ends of the economic system, the gap becomes drastic. And I call it, that's wealth disparity, right? There is a large disparity. The wealth disparity becomes drastic. And you should also understand that after a certain point, the money's not going to do anything. If you make about $12,000 a month, it's effectively enough money for you. That'd be about $150,000 a year. It's enough money for you to do whatever the heck you want. Short of, like, you're not going to go and sell your soul to the devil, right? You're not going to go and do a bunch of drugs. You're not going to go and drink a bunch of alcohol. You're not going to gamble money. If you don't do anything like that, you just want to live right? I mean, you want to be a family person, right? You want to go and you want to raise kids, and you want to have If that's what you want to do, then you can go and do that. You can do that comfortably, no problem. Granted that you don't go and start developing problems, right? Like you're gonna go and whatever, right? Develop massive problems. And so and the whole thing, and I've always talked about that my situation is that there is legitimately zero part of me, and I don't know if this is a product of me meditating or whatever it may be, me thinking about the things that I think about, but I actually do not hope that anybody fails. There is legitimately 0% of my soul, legitimately from the utmost sincerity of my existence, there is legitimately zero part of me that hopes that people fail. Every single last one, I don't care who, I hope that you all make it. But in reality, it's kind of sad, because when you take a look at the situation as it is right now, we're talking about if you want to get to a point like me, you're talking about 0.0000001% of the population. If you just take a look at the numbers for what they are right now, when you take a look at someone like me, the chances of it happening are so low. And so it's like I don't really get my hopes up too much. I sincerely hope that every single one of you make it. I make these videos with the intentions of, I'm gonna do what I can to increase the success rate, but as it stands right now, the success rate is 0.00001%, right? And I've already talked about my whole thing. There is no saving people. I don't save people. I don't, if you sell your soul to the devil, it doesn't ever work out. It doesn't ever work. I mean, if you found a way, it's like, congratulations, you got 20 grand. What are you going to do with your 20, but in reality, and I'm, it's kind of a interesting situation, because if you think about like the divine wind, right? God and karma and all these various things, right? The cosmic wind. And if you intentionally go, like, if you do something with the intentions of it turning out good for you, then it doesn't work like that. So it's kind of like this whole thing that it's like you got to really build your character, right? I mean, you got to be of good character. You don't want to start having developed problems, because once your problems have developed, they're almost always permanently ingrained. And it's kind of a cosmic situation. It's not a very easy situation to, it's not a very easy situation, right? I mean, it's kind of a complicated. So you don't want to be in a situation where, because if you go and do something with the intentions of having it work out better for you, then that's not how it works. I mean, you just got to be deep down in the recesses of your soul. I mean, in the deepest parts of your soul, you just gotta be right by God. I've always said this. It's always very important to be right by God, because if you lose God, you will lose your peace, and if you lose your peace, you will lose everything. All right, and so it's very it's kind of a difficult situation, right? I mean, and me, I sincerely hope that everybody makes it, but at the end of the day, the chances of everybody making, even right now as it stands today, the success rate is 0.00001%. So I mean, I don't know how else to put that. It just is what it is. I mean, let's take a look at it. So, don't be hoping that people fail. I mean, go and do something better with your time. There are a lot of things. There are a lot of ways to make money. There are a lot of ways to do better for yourself. But at the end of the day, if you don't have God, then the money's not going to do anything. And tomorrow I got a contractor coming out here to get everything squared away so I can start bringing in cattle, and I got to get that water situation fixed up too. So I'm gonna have all my my cameras and everything. I got a multi-dimensional security system that I'm going to install. It's going to be very good. I got a lot of security system. I got a multi-dimensional security system, and so I'm going to get everything installed. And I got a contractor coming in tomorrow to get everything squared away. And that's it for me today, YouTube. Y'all have a good one.